this thing on? Is this thing working?
It's Jess St. Clair time. It's Jess St. Clair time.
So, I'm about 3 or 4 years old now. I was much younger then. I was about 3 or 4 years old, and I'm at my grandmother's house. And she had a small house, it wasn't a 1-story, it was a 1.5 story maybe. Little house on the small property in Glen Ridge, New Jersey. Okay? I used to love going to Grandma's house because Grandma, first of all, Grandma tolerated me. But second of all, Grandma always hid Hershey bars, a box of Hershey bars up on top of the refrigerator, where my mother, who dropped me off, would never see it. And behind the refrigerator, on one side of it, between the refrigerator and the wall there, where my mother would never look, was the Coca-Cola. You know, the green bottles of Coca-Cola, so that when the kids came by, we have Hershey bars and Coca-Cola, and Mom doesn't know this stuff. This is why God made grandparents. What's wrong with you people? Anyway, so I'm a little 3 or 4 year old. I guess I was about 4. Now see, I love Grandma's house. Even though it was small and the property was small, out back it was just a beautiful apple tree. And I used to climb it all the time. I think it was crab apples. I mean, it wasn't, well, I didn't know any better. I thought it was just the most wonderful thing. And my cousin and I used to play wiffle ball out there all the time. So one day, I'm at my grandmother's house, we loved spending the night at Grandma's house. We just loved it. Grandma used to put me up on the counter and teach me how to make, she used to make bacon omelets with me. She showed the jazz man, little jazz infant, jazz toddler, how to make bacon omelets, which I still remember. And they were the best. They tasted so good then. They just don't make eggs like they used to. And so, yes, having a wonderful time at Grandma's house with my cousin, and I don't know, we were playing some board game, and at some point it's bedtime, right? Now, we shared a room. Grandma had a guest bedroom with 2 beds, like a hotel room. And facing, okay, bed here, okay? With, you know, a table in the middle, a table on either side. So it was like table, bed, table, bed, table. End tables, you know, and then a bureau over here, I guess. I don't remember. But I do know that across the room, directly, you know, if you sat up in a bed, you could look out 2 windows. There's a window in front of one bed and a window in front of the other. Now, my cousin and I had been playing a board game, and one of these games, I don't remember what it was, but it had a little egg timer. Now, I loved egg timers because of Grandma and the making of the omelets. See, she taught me how to make an omelet and flip it and put where to put the bacon, how to put what time, at what point of the omelet adventure does one drop the bacon in. So I learned all this wonderful stuff when I was like 2 or 3. Also, I love Grandma's house because I flew down the stairs when I was about 2 or 3. I don't care what anybody says. I know I flew down the stairs. Doesn't matter. I knew it then. I know it now. But how loud is the rain? Can you guys even hear me? Am I on? Is this thing on? So, one day, we're playing a board game, and bedtime, okay, so we go to bed. It's like, we're little, 3 or 4 years old, and my cousin goes and gets in that bed, and I get in this bed, and I'm sitting up in bed, right? And it's evening time. It's getting dark out there, but the shades are drawn, and I'm looking through it. I'm looking through the shades at the backyard where the apple tree is. I can't see it, but I can see the ambient light from the evening coming through, you know. And I'm looking at it. I'm sitting up in bed, and I got my pajamas on. I'm sporting the, you know, I'm sure I had some fashionable horsies on me somewhere, you know. Probably a collar too, because pajamas had collars in those days. Everything was nice. Anyway, I'm sure I was the most fashionable pajama kid in the world at that moment. So I'm sitting up in bed watching this, and of course that's when my cousin and I'm getting comfortable, and I'm just very peaceful. I'm at ease. I'm sort of. It was a wonderful. I remember it. It was a very wonderful moment. I was fulfilled. I was happy, I suppose, if one is ever happy. But I was content. I was having a happy, content moment there. And so that's when my cousin chose to bean me on the head with the egg timer that he pocketed on the way into the room. So the egg timer bean wars went on for a few minutes until Grandma knocked on the door and said, "Okay, go to bed." So I grabbed, and of course he's got to get, cousin is just as competitive as I am. So he beans me one last time, but I caught it. Okay, and I caught it and I put it on the table on that side of the bed. Now, first thing I want to say is that when I go to sleep, and this is true today, my whole life, and I've got witnesses, when I fall asleep, I don't really move much at all. If I fall asleep in a certain position, chances are really good that I'll wake up in that same position. That's just how it goes. I don't flail around in my sleep. I never have. I'm a very still sleeper, and I always was. So that's number one. Keep that in mind. So I'm sitting in bed, and I'm sitting up in bed, and I'm looking out the window. I'm not laying down. I'm sitting up. I'm looking out the window at the evening beyond the window shade. And I blink my eyes, and it's daytime. It's morning already, No time went by. And at that moment in my life, at the age of 3 or 4, I knew what had happened. I knew that was not normal. But I had no doubts about it. There was no reason to doubt anything. I did not sleep 8 hours. I closed my eyes. I blinked my eyes. Nothing moved. I blinked my eyes, and it was daytime. Morning light streaming in through the window in front of me, either side of the shade, around the shade, through the shade. But it was literally like this. Literally, thank you, like this. Blink, and it's morning. Now, Jazz, this happens to kids when they're young. Kids will be run, and they fall asleep, and then bang, they do it all the time. I know, and I agree with that. My problem is that when I glanced over to my left, the little egg timer was running. It was still running. I had just put it down a second ago, after my cousin tried to bean me. I put it down, and I sat there contentedly, blinked, it's morning, fine. That's explainable. What's not explainable is how I brought the egg timer with me, because that sucker was still. And my cousin, I'll give you this, the next day my cousin is sprawled up, I look over, he's sprawled all over the place snoring his ass off, right? Obviously, 8 hours went by, but I didn't move a muscle. I did not move a muscle. Well, you got up and moved the egg timer, and you must have got up 5 times during the night to move the egg timer. Well, it's only a 3-minute egg timer, number one. Number two, I didn't go anywhere. No, I did not. I did none of those things. So, what I'm telling you is that not only did I zip through time, I went 8 hours without missing a beat, because I know I didn't sleep that night. I can tell you, because I'm a dreamer, and I did not do nothing. That memory stands out for me. It has occurred to me a few times during the course of my life. I've never dwelled on it before, but now that I know that the earth is flat and I live in a realm where magic is not only possibly real, but very likely real, and that, excuse me, and that the bill of goods we were sold is garbage, and we all have one thing in common, and that is we've had strange experiences that we can't explain. Now this one is, I am not a somnambulist, sleepwalker. I've never been subjected to that kind of disorder. I don't get up and jog in place in my sleep. I'm a very still sleeper. No, I did not get up, walk around the bed to the other table, and flip it. No, my cousin did not get up and flip it just to fuck with my head while he was snoring away. No, my grandmother didn't come in and flip the egg timer just to mess with my head. If you knew my family, you'd know they wouldn't do that. They didn't do that. So the question is, what happened? The answer is I slept through 8 hours of time, and I knew it then. I know it now. I know it more so now than I did any other point in my life. And this is going to bring me to another topic in a second. But I knew then that I had done something unusual, just as I knew when I flew down the stairs at Grandma's house that it was unusual. That is to say, unacceptable by the grown-ups, you know, by the grown-up, that scary grown-up world up there that only tall people inhabit. That I'm down here with the wee folks where there's magic, right? And imagination and creativity and all kinds of wonderful stuff. So I know what I did. And why, how I managed to bring the egg timer with me, I don't know. Or did the egg timer bring me? I don't know. But we both traveled. Because it was without question the next day. And the egg timer had hardly moved. I mean, the thing was running. So it hadn't been 3 minutes that I closed my eyes. I just blinked. That's just a quick example. I want to talk about something else real quick. Let me check the camera. I'll be right back. I just want to say a quick word about destiny. And what is becoming incredibly apparent to me is that everyone is experiencing the same thing this particular spring, early summer, and that is that something big is coming, right? Well, let me say something about that. I have had the feeling of huge destiny, and I'm not alone here. Those of you who are on this same wavelength, we've had a sense of destiny our entire lives. Much, much, much more. I can tell you I've had it much more than people around me in the everyday matrix bullshit. Even when I was stuck in the matrix, I had this tremendous sense of destiny. And I didn't know where it was going, and as it turns out, it was going nowhere because I'm stuck in an artificial matrix construct. Where was I going to go with it? But for those of you, and I'm one of them, you know, who's chomping at the bit, what's next? Well, manifestation is next. Collective manifestation, as we did with the trees, as we did with Big Ben, as we're beginning to do with the Doors. That is the next step, and I'm going to I'm going to bring everyone's energy to focus on something completely different tomorrow, and it's going to be interesting because I'm all about it. But I want everyone to stop and think for a second. How close were you to fulfilling your destiny, that grand destiny that you feel inside, that drive? You know that you're here for something great and wonderful, and why me, why now, why us, why here, la la la. Why is the loneliest question that you'll ever do? Question to you: how close were you to your destiny 2 years ago when you lived on a spinning ball inside the Matrix? How much closer are you to your own destiny, to the knowledge that you have one, number one? Number two, how much closer are you to it now than you were 2 years ago? 2 short little years, 24 months ago. Nothing. That's nothing. It's a blink of an eye. And yet, look at the progress that has been made. It has been nothing short of near miraculous. The things that we've uncovered and the things we've been through, excuse me, during this particular 2-year period. What we have discovered, all on our own, is far more than we ever learned in the first portion of our lives in the Matrix. So those of you who share this feeling that something big is coming and have had it your whole lives, those of you who have had a sense of grand destiny, which I have had, and I bet you all of us have, those of us with that knowledge that we're here for something tremendous, and we've always known it. I submit to you that the big thing that is coming is us, and our awareness that we are beginning to understand what we are And this is the first baby steps to reaching the potential of this particular entity, whatever it is. I've submitted before and I'll submit again because it is, as far as I know, the truth, as far as I can discern, that we are each our own individually shrink-wrapped little gods, shrink-wrapped for your protection. And that you are, in fact, the god of your own realm. And I submit to you that it is our own emergence into our godhood, our own personal godhood, which is, in fact, the big thing that we're sensing. Has it come yet? No. Is it coming? It's coming a whole lot faster than it was 2 years ago. You got to give it that. Timestamp? Don't know. But more every day. Try going back and explaining to yourself from 2 years ago everything you know now. It's an impossibility, which is why it is so difficult for us to talk to a newbie, because you can't just throttle them and say, it's a realm, you live in a realm. You can't do that. It wouldn't have worked with me. I would have said, fuck you. And it would have meant it. So don't ever negate the steps that you've already taken, because those are the first steps you actually took in this life. You went from childhood to school to the workforce to wherever you are now, and during that period, that was wasted. Your childhood, your preschool childhood, to the flat earth awakening, and where you take that from there. These two things count, and they go back together, and you can be a child again. And it's a lot of fun, because there is no difference between me now and me as a child, except me now is far more powerful than I was when I was a child. And when I was a child, I was fucking powerful up here, in here. So I want everyone to understand that the frustration one feels that it's not moving fast enough. Take a quick look. How many decades did you spend in the wrong place? And how many quick months have you spent in the right place? And how far have we come already? So do not ever be discouraged. I think we are our own grand destinies, and I'll lay a little bit out more about that tomorrow as by way of explanation. But I also want to open up another thought experiment, a unified intent and consciousness focus on something to bring it into being tomorrow on Skylight Day. Right now I got to run. I got people to avoid and things to try and get out of. Same old jazz, different day. I love you guys, and I will see you on Skylight Day. Be safe out there. It's Saturday. Don't walk and drive, okay? Bye, kids. I'll see you later. Bye.
So
Jazz.
people are.
Is Jazz in there right now? Do I see him?
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. Who's Jazz Sinclair?